The Grappling Hour is brought to you by Luda Gear, athletic support items created by grapplers for grapplers. Fire Grub Meal Prep. Meal prep done right.
Yeah. Check it out.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is good to see people again. It's been a rough few days. Some might describe surviving the West Coast 2019 ADCC trials as an endeavor. I described it as being on an island. Some athletes described it as the grappling version of the Fire Music Festival. Not they weren't really sure there were actually going to be trials, but there were winners. It just took forever. And I am very happy to report that we will be bringing you all of the winners throughout the week. And we have assembled several of whom today. But I'm very excited to bring you a winner, a friend of the Verbal Tap podcast, a friend of mine, a friend of yours. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your 77 kg winner for the West Coast Trials, Senor John Combs. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Ralph. How are you, bud?
Good. You look like you're still feeling it.
Yeah, definitely still feeling the what was that? Things got started around 12:30 and they ended around 10, something like that.
Something like that. Did you feel like you had experienced like any other tournament like this before in terms of this kind of weight and this kind of nerves or this kind of anything before?
I mean, I was able to stay pretty calm, cool, and collected during it. Took really good care of my nutrition. Actually, I think that played a real big role. And I didn't focus too hard on any of the time in between matches. I just relaxed as best I could. And then when the match showed up, I did what I had to do. And then I left that result on the mat and went to the next one. So I just kind of flowed from one to the next. It felt really good. But yeah, definitely having some experience with some trying tournaments and life events before definitely played a big role in being able to tough it out.
Let's ask this, though. How long did it take before you had your first match?
I think it was around 3:30.
Okay, and to put that in perspective for people who weren't there, you got there at, like, what, 7 a.m., 6 a.m.? Or
yeah, 7:30 a.m. to weigh in, and then we were supposed to start at 10 a.m. sharp, but it just didn't happen, mechanical difficulties and whatnot, so we waited around until, they almost did paper, then they got the mechanical working again, and then I think the matches started for the 66 kilogram right around noon. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was a tough day.
It was a tough day. I mean, there was a lot of mental toughness that goes along with that kind of waiting. So, that's the first side of it. What was your reaction when you saw 112 people were in your division?
I mean, it's population's based on a bell curve, and 77's right in the middle of the bell curve, so it makes sense. I wasn't really quite as impressed by it until I saw a sheet that had the other weight classes, and even 66 only had like 70, and then it was like 45, 50, 45, 50, and 33 for 99 plus, and then 112 definitely stuck out a little bit more when you saw the other weight divisions, but it was just a normal tournament for me. 64-man bracket, and I've been in many of those with the IBJJF, and I've been able to win one once before, and this was, 3 years later, biggest win to date.
I just laughed because I looked down and somebody asked me, we had several friends competing in that division, and when they asked me, they're like, "Raph, how's it looking?" And I was like, well, you have a less than 1% chance to win. To every person in there. So that's before you even start. So that's got to be a warm feeling to do. But here's the thing. You've been in very, very high, prominent situations. you've had very, very solid matches throughout your grappling career. So it is in some ways, you've been there, you've done that. But what was the prep like? You mentioned that you were going through some stuff. What was it that was making it difficult leading into trials?
A lot of injuries happened back in October. I hurt my neck, and I was out with that injury for about 10 weeks. So I didn't really get to training again until early December. And then between early December, and then there's No-Gi Worlds, and then in between No-Gi Worlds and the beginning of this year, it's been really tough to get to training again because I've been coaching a lot more at the academy. And definitely enjoying the coaching side of things, but I've had to shift a lot of my energy into making sure I show up energized during classes. And I've had 3-4 days at a time where I haven't been training, which would have been unheard of just 3 or 4 years ago. Because I teach a class and I just wouldn't be feeling the training. Maybe I'd go have a round or two. But so the neck was hurting really bad. That was even hurting pretty bad the week before. That was slowing me down a bit for sure. And then, but yeah, in my weekly schedule, I really only train Monday and Wednesday in the mornings, and everything else is kind of just a little bit after teaching a class. So
Interesting.
nowhere near as much as I used to. I used to be doing like 3 hard sessions every day.
Well, you're becoming older now, John. As you
Yes.
get older, you got to train a little bit smarter. I've been trying to tell this. I feel like I'm always the ghost of Christmas Future that you never listen to, where I'm kind of like, train smarter, and you're always like, nah, I'll be young forever, Raph, and I'm like, I don't feel that's the way that goes.
Yeah.
So let me ask this. Walk me through your day. Walk me through your very first match. You had a bye, which was good in the sense
Big
that
surprise.
you were able to, you were seated well. That means your peers and those who are helping to put this together believe that you were somebody to be ranked highly. So that's a good thing normally, except in this case, it's also a large waiting game. So
Yes.
it made you have to wait through that ungodly amount of time. So walk us through the first match that you had in that day.
So first match started between 2 and 3 p.m., we'll say. When I got to the venue to compete again, I think I got back there around 9:30, and then I had to wait in the line for the bathroom for like 40 minutes, so I didn't get a chance to see the rules meeting. And then after the rules meeting was over, I went to walk around the gym, and I saw somebody that I thought was going to be my first match, and I was like getting ready for him. And then 3 or 4 hours after that, when the first match finally did happen, it was this completely different guy. He was this shirtless, hairy MMA fighter who came out and took me down pretty quickly. I was kind of surprised, but he had good wrestling, and I'm sure he's a very good MMA fighter, but he wasn't able to really navigate my guard and locked up a triangle pretty quickly against him.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was, of course, Tom. That was your first opponent.
Yeah.
Tom very famously was a pretty good sport about when we had referred to people as training in ADCC style without their rash guard. And we had gotten a photo of him where we took a photo where at a tournament a couple weeks ago, he took off his rash guard. His opponent was kind of like, nah, I don't want to do that, but you can, that's fine. And the audience peer pressured his opponent into taking off his rash guard because it was the last match of the day. And his poor opponent's just like this, like, oh, is this what you guys want? Okay. So I felt bad because I'm like, if you want to do it, but don't leave the poor guy alone if he doesn't want to. Anyway, yeah, that was a very good start to your day, especially, I saw a lot of people kind of rushing back and forth to catch some of your matches. So I felt like the momentum for me was a good start, at least for you. But of course, your division still had a number of people for you to get to the finals. So that was just the very first match. We're going to kind of skate our way through this. What was your second match like?
Second match was interesting. I wasn't, I was too calm in the tournament. That was definitely an issue for me. So, Professor Elliott was talking to me a little bit about that. While that calmness was one of my better tools for finding success, it definitely backfired a bit. That was in the 4th round where it really backfired. So it was just getting started. It was lazy hand fighting. I didn't want to overexert myself until the points were there. And if you watch the matches where I needed to, where I scored points, I, very professionally just sort of let the clock wind down. And then right when the 3-minute mark went by, I secured my points. And in that match, that's kind of what I was doing. And then, Elliot yelled at me to get hand fighting harder. And then I took his back, slammed him, got a body triangle set up on him. And then it's kind of a silly I follow John Danaher's Instagram, and he talked about being a vampire when you're on somebody's back and just looking at their neck. And I saw Kelvin lift up his chin, and the second he did that, I just sprung my trap, and it was over. So that was a really a very fun one. Took his back, suplex, body triangle, RNC.
There's a lot to be said about the John Combs wrestling that. I really feel you've gotten into an even better stride of mixing into your game a lot more, which has been a lot of fun to watch. You and Cyborg had one of the funnest matches at Nogi Worlds, and it was interesting for a number of reasons, not just because of the faces that I got on some of the photos that made you very memeable that day, but I felt good knowing that as you were coming into this tournament, especially after Nogi Worlds, you just look like your wrestling had come to a good place where this is going to be a heavy wrestling tournament, and that's a great tool to have. So for me, I felt very secure knowing that that's where you were going to look like from December in February.
Well, thank you, Rock. Yeah, definitely. It does feel like my wrestling's matured a lot in the past 6 months to a year, which put a lot of energy into it. Even though I stopped, technically wrestling in 2012, I've been putting a lot of energy into producing better wrestling.
Yeah. And I mean, Melendrez is he's a good friend. He walked over and he just goes, "Hey man, I got John Combs," and I was like, "Woo, okay, bye. All right, good luck with that." And he's just laughing, and I always have to remind people, I'm like, there's too many of you guys who I know, so at a certain point, it just becomes. I'm excited for you all, but then I also take a step back and go, I'm Switzerland here, guys. So just as long as it's a good match, that's all I care about. But I know it's a heavy play. But he was just happy to get a match against you. So I was very happy to see that was the outcome on this one. We're going to return, I think, a little bit later to asking you questions about you and Elliot. But for people who don't have the pleasure of seeing Elliot maybe coach you or hear him coach you, what does that experience sound and look like?
Very, very loud. Everybody can hear it. And, definitely the biggest hole in my game, if you were to, divide everything up in, a little chart, strength, technique, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all the different skill levels, probably experience and tactics are the things that I have the least amount in. And you're having somebody like Elliot being there to sort of fill in the gaps that I have in my game really helps a lot. And, his instruction, I've always competed much better when he's providing coaching.
I mean, if I'm being honest, just when I'm watching him, the two of you have one of my favorite dynamics to watch because he yells, and there's a lot of times when you just hear the word Combs, and it's some sort of action movie where you're a cop that's not doing what you're supposed to do, and you feel like you really screwed something up, and he's like, Combs, get in my office. So I hear him a lot when he's doing it, but you know what the fun part is? I recognize that a lot of times what he's yelling out is what I would be yelling out. So I'm always like, no, I feel like I understand where he is from where he's coming from in terms of his coaching. I just can't yell that loud. Yeah. That's not in my vocal range, and I'm a talker. So it is one of the things to see that. So I want to return back to this a little bit later. Let's go over to I believe this is now in your round of 16 match, which I think...
filling game.
Yes.
It was funny. Me and my dad read that it was Finnegan, so I was expecting some red-haired Irishman. And then this shorter, normal-looking guy comes out there, and I was like, oh, I messed up his name. And, dude, he had some great wrestling. It was really hard to move his elbows. He was staying in really good position the whole time, and then when the 3-minute mark hit, I was able to hit a pretty nice arm drag, and then went and took his back, picked him up, put him down, and then very, very similarly to that second match, I was able to get the RNC and body triangle and to finish that fight as well.
What are you feeling like momentum-wise about this part? Because it's one of those long days, but I felt like it started really rough, but then you could see it was a hurry up and wait sort of situation. So you're waiting. And I think things start picking up right about now where you can kind of see the finish line both in terms of the day, but also you can see the finish line in terms of the prize. So where are you mentally now when we're finishing this round of 16?
I'm feeling good. You know, all the matches have kind of gone the way I was hoping they would go, and maybe I was feeling too calm going into the quarterfinals because I definitely ran into some trouble there. I would probably say that, like I was saying in the beginning, I was taking just, every match its own little unique universe, just letting it roll, letting that happen, and then when that match was done, just kind of flushing it from my consciousness and moving on to the next one. And maybe I was too calm when the fourth round came about. But after that one, I was just, still in my element. The match went exactly how I'd like to. Wrestling to back take to choke.
So you're talking about your quarterfinal here, right?
Yes, the next match.
Okay. Because this, to me, is where I wanted to return back to the coaching style of Elliot and you as the athlete competing. One thing was happening here. There was, I believe at this point, a really, really nasty head and arm triangle, right?
Yeah, nasty.
Okay. I don't know if I heard you say this right. There was a lot of things that happened on the island that I think I hallucinated, so I wanted to make sure this is accurate. But I thought you said, for this particular one, that particular moment really pushed you, and that you were determined to get out, but that it was difficult.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it really, really, really sucked. It was on for a solid minute. And, when I had that, his choke was on, I really wanted to tap. It was one of the Dragon Ball Z moments where, the energy ball was, shifting back and forth. And I was like, oh, God. And the noises I was making, man, I really wish they had recorded those. They were terrible. Terrible noises. And I think that was because I don't think the choke was 100% on.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty confident that by, Max trying to do everything he could to finish that choke, he kind of gassed himself out. And then when I did finally escape, it was go time for me.
There is that moment that happens for people when you do see that life kind of fall out of them a little bit when they don't finish with one of their best things. And it can sometimes be a momentum or an adrenaline drop or a number of different things. But in this particular case, it just looked like he had to use a lot of energy to keep you there.
Yeah.
And that while you were in danger, you also were not dead. And you were expanding a lot of energy, because I remembered at one point your legs flailing about like Gumby as you're just trying to find your way. And I had the same thought, which was, I don't think that choke's fully there. And I think you have the right angles that are keeping you just okay enough where you can grit through it.
Just conscious.
But it's not fun. Did the ref at some point come over to check on you? Because I thought the ref was asking you to give a thumbs up.
Yeah, he was. And I was just like, yeah. If I go out, shake my arm.
Well, the stupid part is the way I described it on Verbal Tap this week was I said the ref was asking you if you were okay, and you were kind of like, I'm kind of busy here. If I'm doing this, I'm okay. It's just leave me alone for a second. But the thing that I thought that was interesting that was helping you is your Tinkerbell was partially Elliot, who, when he started yelling out, he was like, Combs, you find your way out of this. And you're like, okay. And when you got up and you let out this real giant roar, I was like, you're not really that guy. You're that's not really you. You're not the guy who's, you're energetic and you're a giant goofball. But that reaction told me, I was like, oh, fuck, they poked the bear. Yeah. He's gonna kill somebody right now. So I knew personally that was a good thing, even though I hated seeing the actual energy and the time spent being there.
Yeah.
So you said that you immediately just kind of discard that.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Because a lot of people can stay in there. I know you got to stay current and forward, but what helps you keep that grounded sense of being in that moment and maintaining focus to be there?
Well, probably the biggest thing I've adapted recently is I'm starting to, as we discussed in the interview with Phil Grappling, I'm teaching a lot more at the gym, and I'm not feeling anxious to the point where I have to achieve success in competition, or else my life's going to be a failure. I have other things that I can fall back on if competition doesn't go well. So I was kind of keeping that in my pocket, and just obviously it mattered. It's the most important tournament I've ever competed in, but knowing that the results of that tournament would not greatly impact my life. Like, if I wasn't sick today, I would have just had a normal Tuesday. You know, it would have worked out, would have gone to class, taught kids, then taught my own class. It would have been a completely normal day. It's not like this success really changed that much, except I have a date in September now that I got to go really perform well in. So that's really the only thing that changed, and that would be the big mental change that I would say that has allowed me to really kind of flush the results of that match, whether they be good or traumatic. Is that, you know, the results really don't impact my future that greatly.
That was cool.
It's something Maul told me once when I was freaking out about winning the Fight to Win belt, and I was like, man, it'll change everything in my life. And he was like, no, well, you're still just gonna wake up and train tomorrow, right, man? And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. But you know, it's taken me 2.5 years to really adapt that into my psychology.
It's difficult because a lot of athletes have a very similar mentality to that, though. That there is oh no, I can't lose this, or if I don't win this, it's not even lose, it's just if I don't win this, then this doesn't happen. And I'm always curious to know what formula they've read, because I know that in my bank, I think the most profitable people are the people who put on exciting matches. So I always think the people, if they know how to market excitement and FOMO for their matches, they know how to be there. And I think the nice part about you is that you've built a nice resume for what you're doing. So that part to me always makes me feel good in knowing, like, yeah, you know, your resume will speak for itself. When you're on, you have you and Cyborg literally pawing at each other and knocking the shit out of each other for a while, and then being besties right afterwards, which is a lot of fun to watch. But for me, it was particularly great because now we get to semifinals, and I go, okay, podium's pretty much there, but it's not just podium. You know, you're very close. Yeah. Now you've got a match with Sims, who also had a very solid tournament himself.
Yeah,
this was going to be a tough match, and
absolutely.
You were able to pull ahead on a 3-2 on a scorecard. But maybe describe to us how you were able to do that.
Playing the game. You know, he had really good wrestling. I bet his passing was also fairly decent as well. So, but his level of wrestling made me feel confident that I'd be able to find something on the feet when the 3-minute mark came around. Because that's kind of the big decision you got to make when you're fighting this ADCC rule set, is around 310, 305, are you going to pull? Because if you pull and you sit at the bottom, then you can earn those sweet points. But you're on bottom, and now you got to deal with this person. If their passing's better than your guard, then you're just completely out of luck. So I had to make a decision in terms of keeping it on the feet or pulling to the guard, and decided to just stay on the feet, work through there. And then he made a little mistake with his elbow positioning, and I popped it up, and I got my shoulder right on his sternum, and blast doubled him right into the ground. That felt good. Yeah, I don't often say it, but you know, me and him were kind of a little bit of friction there. I was not stoked. And then he tried to slam me on that triangle too. So after I finished the takedown, I noticed that it was 3-0. I thought that was weird. I don't know how I got that extra point. He kind of came up to me and he was kind of frustrated about that too. I don't know how it happened, but I knew since it was 3-0 that I could give up a sweep and still be fine. So I was passing this guard. We started in half guard. And the restart was all crazy, too. I've watched the match again, and the ref completely botched the restart, but it doesn't matter. And I decided to just jump on a guillotine. And then by jumping onto that guillotine, he got a grip around one of my legs. And then when he went to sweep me, that grip put him into a triangle. And then from there, I just held on, and you know, I knew I would get the victory. So I didn't overexert myself or overextend anything. I knew that was done. And I figured he was going to try and slam me. So I just grabbed my strangle leg and readied my other hand to break fall. And, I've imagined myself getting slammed there many times, but that's one of the first times I've actually had to pull out that technique. So
that's a good thing. It's a nice preparation for the children. Kids, if you're going to get slammed, be smart. We're going to start putting PSAs, and we'll put part of what you were doing as part of the way of doing it. All right, now let's talk about the final match, because this, to me, I mean, you can hope for your friends that they're going to win a certain way. Mm-hmm. You can put it out into ether, but that doesn't mean that's necessarily going to be the way it happens. You tend to be good at this one move, amongst other things. Yes. But you really, really are happy with your ability to do this one move. So it's affectionately referred to as a comatine by many who have been in it. Walk me through this final match as soon as you stop dying here for a split second.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't exactly sure what to go for. I'd actually talked to Gordon Ryan about the kid in the bathroom, and he told me that, yeah, he's super tough, really hard to choke. It's one of these crazy teenage kids that's coming up out of nowhere. And I was just like, yeah, they're going to be the death of us, aren't they? And so I was kind of unsure of how I would attack. I was figuring maybe I'd do more of a positional focus. And then as I was walking back to my bag to get ready, because the time between semis and the finals was the shortest of the tournament. It was funny. Elliot came up and he's just like, Holmes, he's got good thing. Comes up on single legs. He's good with the feet game. Just fucking guillotine him, man. Guillotine all day. Go for the guillotine. You're going to get this fucking guillotine against him. And, so the match started. I knew he would pull guard. I had a feeling he was going to do that. So I just calmly approached and, I figured he would go for single legs and that front headlock system and play a big role in beating him, and made some mature decisions on submissions to where, I didn't try to go all out on anything. I waited for the right moment to come to actually get the tap. And I think that was the entire reason I won, was because I was able to get to positions, chill out, and then when the moment finally came to get the submission, I locked it up.
What's the first thing that went through your head when you realized that you would be going to ADCC?
A little bit of disbelief, to be honest. Still kind of setting in right now. It's definitely a very big deal, and didn't expect it to happen either. So that feels really good, and it's just means I got to keep doing more jiu-jitsu, which is the thing I love doing on more than anything else. So, the other thing I'm probably saying is it feels good to get recognized. It's put in all this hard work, and most people never see that. So
that's true. They really don't, and I feel that for all of you guys. You're all like, it's weird. Competitors, they all live this life of, you guys tend to become somewhat friendly to each other as you go along, because you all know that shorthand of competing. Like, you all know who you see consistently. And I felt like for you, and I heard this said a lot, which was, it was his time. And that's a good feeling, because that means that people have been paying attention to you doing it, grinding, being there consistently. And it means that your peers are watching you and have a great admiration for what you do. So I was very happy to see and hear that myself. I was also happy to be right next to your dad, who, your dad and I spent a good time talking trash about you, which is good. But what did it feel like to have your dad there to see that?
So the last, my parents don't watch as much of my jiu-jitsu as they used to. It's been going on for a while. Actually, the last event that my dad came to was the last ADCC trials, and he was actually pretty upset about me choosing to do this one, because when I did it 2 years ago, I got pretty savagely destroyed in a heel hook, and he was awfully concerned about that. So, but yeah, this is this is anytime I've had my dad there, I always feel really supported and ready to go. He's always been a great influence on me, and having him there to drive and get me safely to breakfast and not having to worry about that. And then I had a hip injury that day that would have made driving very, very painful. So,
when did that happen?
Yeah, I woke up and I had a really tight muscle in my glute, and I spent a lot of time rolling that out. But yeah, definitely didn't hold me back from doing much anything that I needed to do. But it was a frustrating challenge during the day to have that kind of injury bugging me and still going out and performing well.
Well, I definitely didn't know that, and I didn't see any part of it. And I saw you many times throughout the day. I like to say, though, that, I spent a little time talking with you, and we'd run into each other a whole bunch. But there is definitely, I ran into you so many times in that long-ass day that I think I probably would be like, yo, what's up? And then I think you just were meowing at me. And I was like, I think the island has gotten to John. I don't know what to do with another human being that's just meow. And I go,
meow.
Are you okay? Is it everything okay up here?
Yeah. It just took 100% focus to get the day done. Yes, everything's okay up here as far as I can tell, Rob.
Well, good. I mean, we're going to conduct some tests a little bit later. But I mean, to me, to see, to have your dad there to see that, that's a pretty spectacular thing. And he did mention to me, it was like, I hate ADCC. I hate this tournament. And then he specifically said, he's like, I don't like this. He's like, I've been going to my kids' things for years, and this is by far the worst produced one I've ever been to. And I tried to like soften the blow and be like, it's not usually this bad.
Yeah.
This is just a particularly odd one. So I just felt good for you doing that. What was one of the best things you ended up hearing after you ended up winning, though?
My teammates being real supportive of it. The people that I've been doing jiu-jitsu with since I started at Boulder in 2010, hearing from them. And then today I needed to get my classes covered, and my fellow instructors all stood up and, got me taken care of real easy. And so that's what I would say was probably one of the nicest things there. Was just, get to make the people that I spend a lot of time with feel happy about what I had done. That was really nice. And then Flow Grappling, talking about that I have been on a bit of a hard journey. I had that win in 2016. That was great. And then 2017, 2018 were both really tough years. But looks like 2019 is off to a good start.
It is. Now, we have a few notes in the comment section that I think are very important, and I think it's a good time to bring up a couple of them. Samuel Phillips asks, always fascinated by guys who win at this level. What kind of mindset does it take to win?
Just the same mindset it takes to, do well at anything. All we're doing is problem solving. You don't have to be a superhero to be good at this. You just have to take in the information that's been presented to you and make the best possible choice you can. In competition's the same manner. I do watch a lot of like old school military videos. And I know they don't apply much to jiu-jitsu itself, but all we're trying to do is just take a problem that's presented to us and make the best possible decision. And competition's the same way. Having natural attributes like cardio and agility and all the other various things that make an athlete complete help a lot. But at the top of everything is the ability to problem solve. And as long as you're able to intake that information and do the right thing, that's all it really takes.
We've got a couple more notes here. We've got one from Oscar J. Diaz that says, Saludos desde Mexico. Or Mexico, sorry. We've got Paul Carti that says, been in that comatine. It's deadly. Can also affirm. I've been in it myself. And Daniel B. Steele that says, John. So I don't know.
That might be in relation to Copodio, but...
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Daniel's a nice guy.
But we definitely have a lot of great notes. Let's do this. John, it's always fun running into you and chatting, and on a very personal level, I was very happy to see that this happened for you. Obviously, you don't just get here by yourself. Who got you to here, and more importantly, who do you have to shout out for your sponsors and thanks?
The top of I guess first guy definitely Elliot. His coaching was instrumental to having had a great day there. And all the other various instructors at Easton Training Center always have played a big role. Patricio Rodriguez, Jay Smith, and Diablon are my major teammates that I coach with. And then apart from those guys, my strength and conditioning coach, Russell Malloy. I have a pretty good ability to pick people up, largely because of all the work we've spent putting into making my boons and thighs more effective. It's a lot of what we've been doing because I've been working with Coach Russ for about 4.5 years now. And, been lifting with him 2 times a week, almost every week. I'm really sad I had to miss this morning, but I was not feeling it.
I think you deserve a day off.
Yeah, sure. So Coach Russ has been helping me out for a long time. I'm sure he will continue to do so in the future. And then Dr. Katz, Professor Katz Chiropractic, he's helped my neck out a lot. I feel really bad. I missed an appointment I had with him this morning. I was pretty dead, and then woke up around 9:30, and that's always fun. That was always fun. I've actually, Katz has been really cool, allowing me to miss appointments when I was a lot younger and didn't really have great temporal control over my life. And so it's just a sad thing for me whenever I miss those appointments, because usually I'm spot on at getting them. And then after Katz, there's Airship Botanicals. It's a CBD company. They've really helped improve the quality of my sleep. I've been taking 2 droplets before I go to sleep at night, and I think that made a big difference, because there's the most important thing you can do as an athlete or any individual, professional likewise, is just get good sleep. If you can get good sleep, everything else is going to start improving, and everything else is going to come a lot easier. But if you are unable to get a good night's sleep, a lot of other things are going to become a lot more difficult. So that's a CBD company that has been helping me out a lot. Macro Meals, it's a company out in Colorado. They've been feeding me for 2.5 years now, and keeping me fed, and allowed me to focus on teaching and training. And then, in addition to that, the like professional. Oh yeah, Josh Shadle. He's my sports masseuse. He's been making a big difference for me. I've always been in a lot of pain. Since Pan Am's on, I've had a lot of lower back pain and whatnot. And he's definitely helped get everything moving properly. And I think been a big reason behind my success. And then Matt Smith at Revo, which is a PT clinic in Boulder, has done a lot of work dry needling on me, and I'm sure that has positively impacted my athletic performance. And then last but not least, just everybody at Easton Training Center that has done really well. And one sec, Raph.
Yeah. Oh, I think is he leaving the interview? I don't really understand. Paul, I would ask him about. Oh, wait. He's branding now. I can get behind this.
And of course, Penguin Figures.
Can you do that a little bit better? That was a really, like, I don't want to call it pathetic, but you can obviously do better than just Penguin Fingers.
Penguin Fingers. Ooh.
Wow. What a good sell there.
Oh, yeah, they're great for your fingers. Keep the pain away.
Well, let me say this, my friend. I've been very, very pleased to see how this all worked out for you. I vividly remember a couple years ago at ADCC trials, after it was with that heel hook, I remember talking with you, and I've said this to so many people afterwards, but I definitely know that it helps to some extent. But, when you lose, athletes go very quickly to a dark place. And I just remembered looking at you, and I could tell you weren't there, but I knew there was something that you weren't thinking about, which was, I was like, are you not good at jiu-jitsu anymore?
No, I just remember you saying that.
Did you suddenly become sucky? Like, I don't really have any sympathy. You're going to come back tomorrow, and you're going to win, and you're going to continue to win. But today it didn't happen, and you got to figure out how to use that and work for it. So on a very personal level, I had a great sense of looking at what you were able to accomplish within a 2-year span, and I felt very happy for you, my man.
Thank you, Ralph. I really appreciate it. It's been a rough but a good two years.
Well, now you got some great fucking shit coming up in a few months.
Yeah,
now you get to, on home court, you get to go down this way and go compete. So, last question I got for you, my man, before we got to get you on out of here. And actually, let's do this. Signpost to where people can find you and what you have that they can go ahead and learn things. Maybe, learn how to be like John Combs.
Yeah. Who would want that?
John, plug your stuff.
Hopefully many people. Oh, right now.
Yes.
Sorry. I made a guillotine instructional a while ago. If you would like to inspect it and see what you think, you can go to johncombsbjj.com. There's no need to put a www on there, just johncombsbjj.com. It's a great instructional. It's got some real basic stuff in there, and we're definitely going to be looking to improve a lot of this in the soon-to-be future. I'm actually meeting up with some folks, and we're going to be doing some filming here shortly. So soon, Ralph, it will be glorious. But for the time being, if you would like to check that out, johncombsbjj.com.
Was that so hard? Was that really?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Okay, let's do this. Last question I have for you before we get you on out of here. What would winning ADCC mean to you, sir?
Just accumulation of everything I've wanted to accomplish in grappling since I started. I've definitely always wanted to have a title stating that I'm as good at something as I can possibly become, and this is definitely every hobby, I guess we could call it, activity, has a competition that's the top of the pyramid, and this is definitely the world's biggest no-gi tournament, and to have the opportunity to go there, it would definitely be the crowning achievement of my career to take it out there. Now I got to decide whether I'm going to do the open weight or not, which I'm not sure. I might jump in there. There's some scary dudes in there like that Rodriguez and all that.
To be fair, though, you are definitely a deceptive weight. So I looked at you and I'm like, wait, you're tall and you're So, and he's smaller, and he's 99, and you guys are all just, you could shuffle all over.
Yeah.
So anyway, John, again, big congratulations, my man. I'm very excited to see what the future holds for you. I know we'll be seeing each other very soon.
Yes.
I'm not looking forward to training with you while you're in ADCC camp, so I'm gonna have a lot of rest rounds in there. But
Oh boy.
I cannot express how happy we are for you, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks, man. I'll be sure to stop by the Los Angeles Jiu-Jitsu Club when I get back to California on around March 21st for Pan Ams. So
Yeah, somewhere
I'll see
in
you
there.
guys then.
We'll
Yeah.
see you then. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stick around. My thanks to John Combs. Look him up on no, don't eat it. I think that's the quickest way to die, you child. You look for John Combs and all of his great products and the very, very good guyness that he is always to the podcast. And we will be right back with